The real challenge when you add decimals is to rewrite them and to make sure that you are lining up the decimal points so that you do get a complete answer. We'll practice that in this one, and that's why we've got graph paper in the background. So you look at the first one, it says 0 and 4 tenths plus 5 hundredths. All right, so what we want to do is rewrite this vertically. So we start with, we'll put a number 1 over here, 0 and 4 tenths, and we're going to add to it. Now we need to make sure we line the decimal points up. So if the next decimal point goes there, and it's a 0 and a 5 hundredths. So it looks like that if we're lining the decimal points up. Very, very important that we line the decimal points up. Now it looks unbalanced to us, so if we want to balance it out, we can always put a 0 here. And now we just add from right to left like we've been doing. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. Put our decimal point and 0. So our answer is 0 and 45 hundredths. You may have, if you're just going to try to do it quickly in your head, may have come up with an answer of 0.9 or something like that if you added the 4 and the 5 together and you disregarded the decimal points and the zeros. Look at number 2. Number 2 can give some kids some trouble sometimes too, because look, number 5 doesn't have a decimal. Well, if a number doesn't have a decimal, it always comes at the end of the number. It's a whole number. So to write this one, let's put our 5 here, and then we're going to add to it. Now if there's no decimal on a 5, we can always put one at the end, and then the other number we want to line the decimal point up. So in front we have a 0, and afterwards we have a 0 and a 2, so it looks like that. And again, if I want to even things out, I can put zeros here to kind of even it out. And now I just go ahead and I add from right to left. So 2 plus 0 is 2, 0 plus 0 is 0, and 5 plus 0 is 5. So 5 and 2 hundredths. You may have been able to do that in your head, but as they get more difficult, and maybe you can't do them in your head, you want to rely on writing them on graph paper so that you can make sure that you're lining up the decimal points properly. Let's try the next one, number 3. We have 0 and 1 hundredth, and we're adding to it 5. Now you might be inclined to put the 5 way over here under the 1, but it's 5 as a whole number, and again we have to line up decimal points. And so if there is no decimal point, it comes at the end of it. So it would actually line up like this. If I wanted to, I can fill some zeros in there to even it out. And 1 plus 0 is 1, and 0 plus 0 is 0, and 5 plus 0 is 5. So don't forget the decimal point, 5 and 1 hundredth. Let's do a few more here till we kind of get the hang of it. Let's try number 4 over here. And lining up is the biggest issue. So let's put 0 and 2 tenths, and we're adding the whole number 6. Whole number. If it's a whole number and there's no decimal, that means the decimal comes after it. So I line my decimals up. That means that 6 is going to go right there. I can fill in a 0 here if I'd like, and then I start from the right. 2 plus 0 is 2. 6 plus 0 is 6. So 6 and 2 tenths. Let's see if they've given us any really tricky ones. Let's do number 8. So we're going to skip ahead and do number 8. And 8, let's start by writing it. 0 and 6 hundredths. And I want to line the decimal points up, so I could even start there with my decimal point. And after my decimal point, I have a 0, and a 1. And in front, I have a 0. And now I'm adding these up. If I want to even it out, I could add a 0 here. And then I just start from the right. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 6 plus 0 is 6. 0 plus 0, 0 plus 0. So my answer is 0 and 61 thousandths. All right, let's try one last one. Let's go with number 12. So start by lining it up, 0 and 100th plus 4. Now 4 is a whole number. There is no decimal point, but I need a decimal point. So it's going to come after in a whole number. So this is what it looks like. I can add some zeros there if I want to even it out. And 1 plus 0 is 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. Put my decimal point. 4 plus 0 is 4. So it's 4 and 100th. Some of these you might be thinking, well, I can do these in my head, Mrs. Holliday. They aren't too difficult. The idea is you're practicing with easier problems, so you're lining up the decimal points for when you get to be have more difficult problems. Try some of these. Check out the answers below. Good luck.